Okay, so let's go back. Yeah, so let's go back. I mean, sorry, most of you were not able to join last two classes, but the recordings are there. I don't want to stop the classes. That's why we went ahead. Should be very easy to catch up, the automation one, and also these automations anyway, Salesforce is going to decommission. That's why I kind of went ahead with the classes. So the things that we discussed, so we looked at workflows, we looked at process builder, and also in the process, we looked at the email alerts and those stuff. So just to debrief, so the workflows, whenever you create, this is the basic or very basic one for automation, yet powerful. So you can send email alerts and you can create tasks for some employees, and also you can schedule some tasks for future. So those are some things that you can do with workflows. And so while using email alerts, you would need something called email template. So when you are sending email alert, potentially you can predefine text, and so with the merge fields you can make it little dynamic. So that's how you use all that email alert and email template, and then workflows. So this one is like maybe was there for last 10-15 years in Salesforce, and then process builder came in like 2015-2016 time, and so it has all the features that workflow offers. And so it also allows us to create some posts and also some custom notifications. We haven't seen those. Basically, whenever we see on the right hand side, there is a simple bell icon kind of thing. So when you do that, when you send the custom notifications, you see those right there. Like how you see when an email comes in, typically how you get notification, those kind of things. So so, and also you can do little bit of cross object records to create or those things you can do with process builder, but workflows you cannot do. And typically you can, when there is an object, you will see number of workflows. When Salesforce brought up this process builder, they kind of expected us to use only one process builder for one object. But typically you might see multiple process builders for same object, which is not a good idea from maintenance point of view. So workflows, there is no way you can do one workflow for all for one object, single workflow. But whereas process builder, you should be able to do a lot more. But then Salesforce, yeah, before I move on, so any questions from last classes? I know most of you did not attend, but if you had gone through the recordings or maybe tried any trailhead ones.
Srikanth, what did you say? I mean, like process builder, we can have multiple objects in the same.
No, single object. If I mean workflow, when you say workflow, let's say you want to send a notification, so or email alert, and different conditions. If you want to do different things, that is not possible with workflow. You have to create one more workflow on the same object. So like it is very typical for us to see 10 workflows on account object, but you won't see 10 process builders for account object, because you can put in conditions on the, basically you start with process builder. When you start with process builder, you select, okay, what is the object? So you select an object, and then the conditions. So let's say account record, someone updated it or created it. So basically based on that condition, you can say, okay, whenever someone created an account, do this thing, create task or create email alert, or maybe create an opportunity. And then when the account is big account, let's say if the account has 5,000 employees, and if someone do something on that account, you want to take some action, basically that one you can add one more condition in the same process builder. So that's what I was talking. So you cannot do one process builder for all the objects.
Okay, got it. Yeah.
So recently, I mean, maybe 2-3 years ago, Salesforce started with flows, and they started. Now they are saying, so don't use workflows and process builders because they are trying to decommission those. But we will have a lot of work uh, to support the old workflows and so process builders, and also while migrating those into the flows. And so definitely very powerful one, flows. You can do a lot more things. Uh, Pretty much whatever you were able to do with workflow and process builder. So same things can be achieved with flows. Plus there are additional features that you can do. And this is definitely equivalent to Apex. All the server-side programming that we do, pretty much we can accomplish this from using flows. Uh, the, the only problem you may run into is mass scenario. So since Salesforce, whenever there is an update happens, so we always need to assume that, okay, there may be a scenario when we do data loader or some sort of mass update. So Salesforce would take 200 records at a time and try to process those. So that's where those governor limits and all comes in. And if you do a lot of queries in the flows or process builders, and those we will run into some governor limits. Typically, you will see that SACL 100 errors, 100 error. So the basically no process will run at that time. Either we have to change our data loader to run single record at a time. That will slow us down. So that's why we need to be very careful how we write flow. And if there are not too many complex scenarios, so we better go with flow. And if there is a complex business process that we are expecting to do on that object, it's better to go with the Apex too. But for small customers, if the requirements are small, and it's better to do the flows. And the main thing is if you do this declarative ones, so Salesforce will make sure whenever they do bring in new releases, they will test all those things for you, and if something breaks, they will take care of it. Whereas if you write Apex, so we do write some test classes and all, but it is going to be more on the customer side. That's why the basic fundamental concept is always try to do declarative, and if it is not meeting your requirements, then go for Apex, and also see the volume how, and also see the complexity on the object. Based on that, we need to decide whether to go with declarative or programming. And flows like process builder and workflows. So workflows and process builders, they only work when there is something happens on the record. So like when DML operation, uh, like when whether a record is created or whether a record is updated. So that's when the workflows will trigger. The process builder, there is another way you can fire process builder using platform events and all. But those are all supported in Flow. Apart from that, if you want to bring in a screen element, so let's say you want to bring in some button. So when you click on the button, so you want to show something, that's where the flow will become handy. Otherwise, you have to do little more work if we don't use flows. And so we can, there are auto launch flows that we are going to see, um, and a little more things. We'll go through those.
Srikanth, can I interrupt for a minute?
Yeah, sure.
So we have multiple objects, right? Each object may be associated with different workflows, I mean, like process builder, and then how do we know that a particular object at a glance, like how do we know how an object is associated with flows? This way,
Yeah,
we before we
yeah,
make any change, we get to know what.
yeah. Well, I mean, we will see. Typically, when you go to workflows, there is no single point. So that's where sales, maybe that is one of the reasons why Salesforce might try to is trying to consolidate those. And you have to go to workflows. You see whether there are any workflows. Then you have to go to process builder. You have to check whether there are any process builders on that object. Then you have to go to flows and check those. So other than that, there is no easy way. And the other best way is you run some transaction and then put a debug. So you set the debug logs and then you run the transaction, and then you can potentially see whether a workflow is fired or process builder is fired, and on the flow is fired. So that is another way.
Okay, yeah. I mean, like when you get time,
Yeah,
if you
yeah.
that would be great.
Yeah, I mean, the flow distribution is very important topic. So whether you want to use a button or you can even distribute flow using lightning pages, and even on the utility bar, you can potentially place a screen element or maybe some action. And when the user goes to that utility bar, they can just click on that. Utility bar is something on the console level we can create. We haven't seen that one. So that's how you can launch the flow. And obviously, like workflows and process builder, the record trigger. So that's the one when the ML operation happened on the object. You typically fire this automatically. Those will get fired. So let's go check the system a little bit. I mean, this is very important one. So I put in as much effort as you can put in for flows. Try to do a lot of trailhead ones. That will give you, I mean, if you just want to be an admin, this is very key area. So, I mean, to just to show what Kishore asked. So let's say an account is there, and what are all the things that that account has, whether flows or process builder. Let's take a look at that one first. So when we go to email alert, sorry, not email, the workflows. So you go to workflows. This is the central place you see, and here you see object. So okay, then you can say what are all the rules, I mean workflow rules that are there for case object. And here, as you see here, so you can build multiple rules on the same object. So then we can go to process builder. Actually, let's deactivate this. Yeah, so I mean, these are the workflows that we created in the last classes, because if at all we work on case object, I don't want them to fire again. That's why I just deactivated. So the scenario was whenever a case was created for a big account, so we wanted to send some email notifications and all. That's what we did. And also we wanted to send some follow-up email to the customer, checking the feedback. So those are two scenarios that we have seen. And since we don't want them now, so I just deactivated. I mean, just for you who missed the classes, the workflows all start with object. So we start with object when we are creating, and we set the criteria. What is the criteria? And then potentially, if at all we want to put in any R condition and all, so you can set those. And once that is the criteria, once that one is set, we will say what it has to do. So whether immediate workflow, if it is immediate workflow, potentially we will say you have option to create task, email alert, and field update. And you also have something that you can do in future. So this is immediate and this is a future. So I mean, just a recap there. So the same thing. So let's say on the case object, if at all we have any process builder, and again we have to go to process builder and check. Typically, if you have multiple, you can just sort based on that, and you'll see what are all the things that you have on that. And the thing that I was telling earlier, so the conditions and all, you can put in as many conditions as you want. So basically, if you have big opportunity, so just post that one. If you have another condition, add one more condition, add these guys. And you see here, these are immediate actions that we just seen on the workflow. And these are schedule actions, the future ones. So whenever you want to do, so this is similar. And so I'll start with object. So which object you want this to happen on? Only when record is created. Sometimes even when the record is edited also are updated. So you want to fire something. So that's where you can check. Okay, is this account just created or opportunity just created? If not, so just go back and see if opportunity is closed. Do something else. Those kind of things. So now, I mean, those are the two things, but you can't see much on the object level, which one is there and all. So let's say if we go here, and there is nothing much you can see. Basically, if at all we write any Apex triggers, you can see those here, but not much that you can see. You have to go to multiple places, like I said. So now let's go to the flows. So, I mean, by default, they got some flows. Maybe we can create one flow. I mean, this is little more powerful, as I said. So if you have conditions and you can do screens basically in between, so that's how you can do these things, and you can potentially bring in some script. Basically, an SS script. If this is do you want to identify customer? So let's say someone calls your company, and you take the call. You want to basically check who called you and verify that customer, and then if they want you to create a case for them, so potentially on the phone you can create a case for them. Those are scenarios you can do with flow. I mean, typically you can even do it straight away by going into create new case and then select account contact. You can create case also, but here it is going to give you a guided approach. uh, so it will ask you to select this one, and also if you want to ask the question so and so information, so that guided tool you can give. Basically it goes to this screen, so once it passes from this screen to another screen, so based on here you can put in some text saying, okay, ask this question, ask that question, kind of thing. That's the script I was talking about. So yeah, I haven't done a lot of flows. Just for training sake, I started looking into this, but very powerful. Most of the time I write code, but definitely very powerful one. Yeah, so these are various things that you can do. So when you start creating the flow, you have to decide whether it is a screen flow, whether it is a scheduled flow. I mean, this is screen flow. Potentially, you can add to a button and all. Whereas schedule trigger, so some future action, you can do this. And auto launch one as soon as some so if you want to automatically without any screen, so you can use this guy. So, and whereas this one, when a record is updated or created, potentially you will use this guy. And this is the platform event. When a platform event comes in, more advanced one, this guy. When an event raised in for your system, so if you want to react to that one, so that's when you use this guy. So for now, let's try to use record trigger flow. And the scenario we can try. So whenever a case is created, or whenever an account is created, potentially we want to create automatically one opportunity. So let's assume that. So that's why I mean, since it is we are creating account, we need to start with a DML. So that's why I picked up the record create scenario, record trigger starting point.
Srikanth, well, in few cases you write Apex wherever the declarative thing doesn't work, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or can manage. So who does that? Is it an administrator who does it, or the developer will take the help?
Decision making, or
No, I mean like implementing it. Like who codes for it? Apex is code, right?
yeah, Apex is code. Typically, the admin won't write code, so that is the developer responsibility. But if we want to do this kind of declarative stuff, yeah, admins potentially should be able to do, and in some companies, developers will also do.
But Apex code can be used here, right, to trigger.
Yeah. So basically, the admin can say, "Hey, I want to trigger some Apex code as part of my flow." And if it is too complex, so let's say admin starts some flow, and he cannot write that custom logic in the flow declarative way. So that's when he will say, "Hey, I will give you some parameters. So based on that, you do some logic in the Apex, and you fire some custom process, and then give me back the output." So that's how you can typically call Apex from the process builder. I mean, either process builder or flow. From workflow, you cannot call Apex, but process builder and Apex flows will allow you to invoke Apex from the in between.
Okay, so it's a collaboration. Like we
Yeah.
collaborate with it. Okay, got it. Thanks.
And I mean, there are some templates that, I mean, Salesforce by default, they give some templates. If at all we want to use it, so we can typically pick one of these and we can use them as a starting point. So let's go to the record trigger. And so that is for the layout. So here, so since we said whenever an account is created, we want to create opportunity. So that's our scenario. And so trigger scenario is account, a record is created. We said object account, and whenever we create account, potentially it will create, it will fire this guy. And for here, so we said plain one. And if at all we want to put in more conditions, so only if the account is big, it has so many employees, then only fire this guy. So you can put in those conditions. So let's put in number of employees. Let's see, greater than, so let's say 5,000. So if at all whenever we create an account that has more than 5,000 employees, we want to create another opportunity. So you have field update. So if potentially if you want to update on the same record that it fired on, and you can do using this guy. Whereas whereas if you want to create another object or something, so you select this one. So in order for you to create any records, so they gave you these options. Either you want to create a record or you want to update record. And if you want to query some information from the system, you can use this guy. And if you need to delete anything, you can use. So now, sorry, we said we want to create an opportunity. So let's say, I mean, this is very dummy use case that I'm taking, but based on the business requirements, we can pick more complex ones. So I mean, so here we are saying, so we want to create only one record. Use always use all values from the record. So, yeah. So since we start from account, so we can use the account value. So we started with a record, I mean account record, and we are trying to create opportunity. So let's see, create opportunity one record. Make sure the ID is blank. After flow creates the record ID set to the record. That should mean it is wrong. I need to select object. Select object. So when we say create record, we need to select object. Create a record from these values. Account. Yeah, so we need to select object, which object we want to create, and we said, okay, we want to create, this is just the dummy label that we want to use, and we said, okay, we want to create only one record, and so we want to pass the values. So first we want to pass account ID, on the opportunity object, there is a field called account ID, and we want to pass the account that we are creating uh, that we started with. So let's say here, okay, so I need to basically, I need to access that account that we created. Okay, that should be good, I think. So we need to set, in order for us to create an opportunity, we need account, we need name. I mean, just to see what we need, so we can just go to opportunity when we are trying to create any opportunity. So what are all the fields that we need? So typically we need a name, and we need to pass account ID, and potentially we need to pass the closing date, and we need to pass the stage. I mean, those are the bare minimum thing that we need to pass. Let's set those values. So let's say, I mean, I can either pass some dummy text here, and we have seen other fields that so we want to, let's say, the amount field, and we want to say, I mean, you can create variables also here by showing some screen. I mean, here we cannot add screen because it is a backend process that it is going to fire. And let's say I want to pass 10,000 or maybe 100,000. And I mean, you can create those variables right here are constants. So let's say if you want to make that, I mean, here if you create those, you cannot, I mean, you have to go come here, change that one. Whereas if you create this, you can change it at a different place so that you will have, it will be easy for you. So stage, let's select stage. And so this, since it is a pick list value, Salesforce is giving what are all the options that you can select. So I will say prospecting and the close date.
So mandatory fields for sure have to be put in here, correct?
Yeah, I mean, on the basically on the
Opportunity.
API level, what are all it is expecting, we need to pass those. And for date fields, I think there is system fields that you can use. Date time. So yeah, let's say, I mean, you can use some formulas, plus or minus dates and all. So for now, I'm using just the current date. And then, so you just need to connect these two. Okay, so we just need to save the flow. So we have a condition here. So we said, okay, number of employees more than 5,000 employees, then only this one will fire. If we, and then we said, okay, we want to create opportunity, and for opportunity, we want to pass these fields. So one is the account ID, the current account that we created. And for opportunity, I mean, we are setting some dummy name, and we are passing some currency, and we are setting the stage.
So the record ID becomes the account ID?
No. So the record ID, so this one is account ID. So a record ID will be created once this process runs. Record ID is for the opportunity record ID. This is the account ID. I mean, you started with account, right? So that's
Right.
that is this guy. Current record ID is the account account ID.
Okay, so the opportunity will be created with the account ID of the account that we picked.
Yeah. So let's save this guy, and potentially you can run in the debug here and run immediately. I mean, since I mean, here we need to pass the account ID. So since our condition is to run only when the record is created, we cannot use this guy. So let's activate it. And the way it is going to fire, whenever you create an account, it will fire and it will create opportunity. Let's try that one and see if it works. And the main thing that we need to take care is the number of employees field. So let's say this guy has 6,000. Let's say it created the account. Let's reload it. And that didn't create opportunity. I mean, if at all it creates opportunity, it will link that one. It didn't create. Okay, so something somewhere it went wrong. Okay, it actually create. Okay, so the only thing is it created opportunity. I mean, you see this guy opportunity from flow, and it set that guy, and also it set today's date, and it created it, but it didn't pass the account ID to the proper field. Let's go back and see why it is not created. Okay, so account ID, we pass current record ID, so that one looks good. I'm not sure. Flow. That looks good. I mean, I didn't make change. Basically, it is to me it looks good. Current record ID, that's the account that we want to pass, and this guy becomes text. So let's change this guy so that we can try to debug it a little bit, and record is updated. I want to do it even for not only for create or update. I mean, if we do this thing, potentially I can pass some text and see. I will show you how to debug this guy. So let's see that. And when we are creating the flow, basically you can either create a new version or a new flow. So it's better to create a new version so that the previous version will be deactivated. I mean, once we activate, and this way, this one, the new flow, only one flow will be in the system. And now let's get some account ID.
Yeah. Srikanth, so it's only about like, it's about maintaining versions, right? So when administrator initially does it, he may have to do a lot of testing around it, correct? And keep modifying until he gets
Yeah,
right.
yeah. I mean, you
So,
do it in the development system, right? So
uh,
you're not doing it in the real life system. That's what you're asking, right?
right. That answered me.
Yeah, yeah. So this is where, I mean, we are saying, okay, we want to run this, run the flow as if the record is updated, and we will say this account. Let's see. As per flow, we are using that account and update this record. Okay. Yeah. So here, I mean, we just fired the debug, so you can see what are all happening here. So the flow on the debug was triggered as if the account was updated, and this is the account ID that we selected 0015. Since I passed that one, so I know we can go check whether so that's the account we just created, but we are simulating as if this account has been updated. So it picked the right account, and so we passed that one, so there is nothing fancy there. And here on the entry condition, so the number of employees on this account, so it has 6,000 employees, so that meets our criteria. Our criteria is 5,000. And then we are trying to pass here. So current record, for some reason, it is not picking that account ID that we are trying to pass. So this is what I wanted to show you. So it pass that currency, that whatever we want to pass, and today's date, the flow, we said, okay, we want to take the current date. That's what it is taking, and it is setting the opportunity, I mean the stage name and the name like how we want. So because the flow ran in rollback mode, any changes to add were rolled back, and that's how, I mean, that's how you debug it. But still, this flow current record is not able, I mean, it is not able to pick that one. Let's see. Yeah, let's check some examples and to see if there is any easy way to get that IDs. So create case. Let's see if there is if they're creating if they're populating any account contact for this case. I mean, these are the examples that they give. Yeah, so basically current contact, and they are passing this contact ID. And let's see, I mean, that's exactly what we are also doing. I mean, similar current account ID. Yeah, so let's see if this will work. Yeah, so I think this one should work. Let's so now I mean let's also yeah, we'll go ahead and create an account. And now every time an account is created updated that has more than 6,000 employees on it, it should create an opportunity. Let's try one more time. So first I will set I mean let's try 6,000 one more time. Yeah, see right here immediately that another opportunity is created now. And it has all that the values that we already passed as per the flow. I mean, that's how you do the automation. So if these things, either you can do it in the process builder or flow or through trigger. So there are three ways you can do. Which approach you would take is based on the complexity. And as let's say you are adding a lot of complex, I mean, lot of custom logic to account. You add more and more flows at one point of time, so it becomes a little more maintenance problem. And when it becomes maintenance problem, it's always better to go to Apex so that you have more control, and the developer can do little better job than admin at that point of time. So this is one way to fire. I mean, this is called a flow distribution. You create a flow and you say, okay, how you want to this flow to be triggered. And so that's the starting point that we select. So when we are creating the flow, we said this is a record trigger flow. So record trigger flow means whenever there is an update or creation is happening, so this one will fire for that object. So now, I mean, we did this one. So auto launched flow, which is active. And here there is no object. Let's see if we can cut close. I want to see if I can bring the object name or something. For this guy. This is just for Kishore question. So how you kind of find what are all the flows that are on the account. So now you know, okay, by looking at this column, you can say for account object there is a flow. I mean, One thing is we can name these things. And so right now we are saying create opportunity for account, but we don't know the criteria from where it is going to try, fire. So that's where this one will help. So it says record after save, but it doesn't say which object. So that's where this thing will become handy. So that is one thing. So now there is this screen flow. Let's say we want to create, let's look at this flow a little bit. Instead of creating, we can leverage an existing one. So this guy, so what they are doing, so if at all, I mean, let's do the debug mode. I mean, it is easy to go through this. So whenever we try to run this debug, it will, I mean, this one we need to enable. We will do it in a little bit later. So we are doing, so run the latest version of the flow and run the details executed lightning runtime. So let's say we run this guy, and this is the script that I was talking. So let's say when a customer calls in, so we can say, okay, who is the customer? So let's say in this case, get confirm customer information. So first we get the call, we say, okay, let's go back to some contact. And let's assume that this contact called us Arnold Adams. And so the way this flow works, and we can add this flow as a screen somewhere. And let's take this guy. So it is, the flow is expecting us to pass so first name, last name. So I just want to, I mean, it is going to check in the system. That's why I'm trying to get some real data. So it says Arnold and Adams. Basically, Arnold Adams is calling, and we are checking. Okay, we are asking him, okay, what you give us your first name, last name. I mean, that's how typical contact centers would work. They have to get their name, and if they don't have any CTA integrations. So now basically we are saying, okay, hey, can you give us your phone number and email address? And phone number is kind of mandatory. And now we have to go back, check what is the phone number that we maintained in Salesforce. And we select that guy and we say, so now potentially we got it, we confirm the customer. So we are asking, okay, maybe the customer is asking us to create some case for him. So and is, as you see here, basically every time we do some work, it is going through, it is maintaining all that information here. So basically it created that case, and if at all we want to see that more information, we can go check that in Salesforce backend. Yeah, see here, so it is already able to, we pass that contact, we Arnold Adams, and Salesforce is able to identify that account, I mean account also along with that contact, and it is able to create a case because of the flow. So now the thing is, when we go create a case, it is very straightforward. I mean, it is one single screen. We can enter all that information, but sometimes the contact field may not be mandatory field here, so they can skip that one. So whereas if we go with the flow approach, it will mandate the agent to capture contact information. So without contact information and account information, it is no point to create that kind of case. I mean, we can make this field as a required field, but even then, so it is not going to give us that guided approach. Sometimes we may expect the agent to ask different questions. So based on that, we can build that guided flow. So using the flows.
Quick question.
Yeah.
Just need some clarity. So the agent, the contact calls the agent, and then they go through this process of filling up the details, right? The agent goes through the process. So when the contact calls the agent, like what does the agent do? Like does he how does he bring up that flow?
Yeah, so that's the flow distribution. So right now we looked at it, but we haven't really placed it. So let's say I mean now, yeah, we are going to look at it now.
Okay.
So let's say on cases, let's see. So that is called flow distribution. We created, I mean, we have this flow. So now we need to add that flow somewhere. So you can place that flow that we just created either on the console view, or I mean, I just want to show you what is console. Let's see if there is anything here. So let's say, let me, okay, service, okay, let's see if it is console. Yeah, so we don't have any console view, or maybe we need to create one. So basically, once we have that console view, so you can see on the bottom, you can bring up those and you can create those things. So yeah, we can take a look at the console a little bit later. Actually, let's see if I can bring up one.
Yeah, I just wanted clarity. That's it. Like
Yeah, no, that is very important one. That's the one when I was talking about this thing. Let me bring it back here. So the flow distribution. So this is the one. So I mean, once you create the flow, if it is a record trigger flow, it is very straightforward, and the system will take care of firing that one for you. But if you want to, if you have that custom process, so that screen you have to bring it onto the user. So that this is the utility bar that I was trying to show you how to show add that flow as a utility bar icon, so that the user can just simply go click the some button and basically show that one. So and if it is email alert or something, so potentially that we will use as auto launch that will send the alerts and all to different users. So let's you create that as an action. You see, right now in the system we have 3 flows on the case object. Maybe the other ones are global. Opportunity one is not showing there because we are starting from case. That's why the other one is not showing up. So we have 4 flows: create case, reset password, and verify identity. And this is the one we just created. Whereas when we go here, when we are trying to use a new action, so we see only 3 options. So we don't see the opportunity one because that is for a different object. So So we call that one guided case create. Let's save this guy. And now let's go back. So we need to add to some button, I mean page layout. Let's try to, no, not page layout. So we have this guy, which is a flow. So we want to launch it somehow. Let's see. Yeah, flow distribution. We want to distribute this guy. Let's create this. Let's try to add this guy to some place. Yeah, typically when we create flow, so it also generates a URL. So that's the one I was trying to get to. Create auto launch flow. Let's try to create auto launch flow. Data keys, screen flow. So we just need to show the screen user. Out. I mean, obviously, it doesn't make sense to add here. Okay. I mean, we can add here. Yeah, I mean, I mean, the way I'm doing it is doesn't make sense. Basically, we are in a case layout, and we are showing this guided case create button on that one. So let's see this guy. And that button is not showing up. Just checking why it is not showing up. Whether I added to the right layout or not. Okay. So product support case layout. That's the one. This guy. I think I added to the inquiry layout. Yeah, I mean, the way, I mean, as you've seen, I kind of added to the wrong layout. So that's why it was not showing up. So now I'm adding to the one that the right layout. So now if you go back, check this guy. So we should be able to see the button. Yeah, maybe the buffer issue, I think. Hmm.
So you created a button, right?
Yeah, I mean, I created action, so that one should come here. I mean, if you see here, this is an action that I created. Guided case created. So this is flow, and the way I did is So it is action type. I mean, if you go back, try to see how we did. Basically, I used this new action button, and here I selected flow. So that, I mean, then once we added that one, once we create that action, we have to add it to the layout. So, so that's what I did here to the layout. So the way you do it is I created this guy. It is here, and I saved that one. And these are all not needed buttons. Let's create. Yeah, you won't even see it here. So that's the right place. For some reason, it is not showing up here. Let's see if we can do it on account. Yeah, I'm trying to go to the right place, the layout. That's why I'm trying to go to lightning phase. From there, we can see which phase, I mean, which detail phase it is using, so that I can go modify that layout. So, I don't think this will work. Let's see. So account layout. Yeah, I don't think we will see guided case here because it is on a different object. Yeah, we don't see it here. Let's see on the cases. Yeah, we won't see because we did not create that one as button. We won't see it here. If we create button, it will come here. Basically, when we go to account, if we want to launch that one, we can launch it now from there. And yeah, I have to look into this little later. Maybe next class I will show you. Meanwhile, I will show the console one. Yeah, but the flow distribution is very important one. So please spend some time on this one. Yeah, I'm trying to see whether there is any console app. Sample console. Just want to show you that utility bar one. Yeah, this one is classic one, not that one. not the one I want to show you. Yeah, this is a regular one. Yes. I'll create one because you will be seeing this one in the in the trailhead modules that I'm going to ask you to do. Uh, so whenever we want to create a new application, like the ones that are appearing here, you need to create. You need to go to this app manager. You create this Lightning app. Yeah. Yeah, if you want to add any logo or picture, you can add that. So let's go here. So this is the console navigation. So you can say that the supported factor, typically it is only for the mobile, desktop. Yeah, so this is the utility bar I was talking. And if at all we want to add any utility bar, so we can add here. So let's say we add a flow. And for the flow, we need to select which flow we want to select. Okay, so let's select that create case one. So that's the one we anyway we wanted to use. So based on the flow, we created that action, but here directly we're calling the flow. And once we select the console app, we want to say which objects you want to use it. So I'm selecting account contact. And yeah, we created a app. So let's take a look at that app. So, this is how this console app would look like. And you see here, these are the three objects that I selected. That's why those three are coming. And so this is the one I was trying to show you. So now that flow is there. So here, you see the same flow that we executed through the debug mode. So we are able to launch it from here. So the same thing. So let's say if I pick, let's assume that someone called us. Let's take again the Arnold guy. Let's go to Arnold. So launch this guy. So we say it's Arnold, and the same thing. So and we need to provide the Arnold's phone number. Basically, it is trying to confirm that customer. So we have this phone number here. Let's try one more time. So we need to go to the console view. Yeah, we can name this one, I mean, guided flow or whatever the guided case and all. Um, Not the add-ons, right? Yeah, I mean, this is the one I pulled as a pop-up. Yeah, so it created this new case. And so that's how the case is being created. I mean, that is the flow distribution. You can add this one from different places. I believe we can even add a global action or something. You can also add it to the utility bar like I just did. Let's see if that one show up here. Yeah, okay, so maybe case. Yeah, I don't see an option to add here, but you can add it to the utility bar. That's how you can show it, and you can create a button also, and maybe that button you can expose it to the account. I mean, since it is a case, if we create a button, potentially that button can be exposed on the parent object. That way, account and contacts, from there you can launch that flow. I will send you some trailhead modules, so potentially you can follow those, and you should be able to know how to create a flow, how to distribute a flow, and how to basically use it for automation. So we have seen trigger flow. Whenever a record is created, how to create another record, and maybe you can change some conditions. Based on that, you can manipulate your flow. And we have seen how to launch it from the utility bar, and there are other ways to launch, so maybe you can follow those using the trailhead modules.
Because who typically
Yeah,
uses a console?
sorry.
Who uses a console? Like
Console is typically for contact centers, because the navigation on console is very easy, and it is very quick basically. I mean, here when you open one account, so you can do the layout nicely compared to the regular one, and it basically facilitate the user to see a lot of information at a glance, without going to, I mean, too many, without navigating to multiple places.
Okay.
So you split the screen into multiple ones and all, so you can add these quick actions and so many of those things, and especially for CTA and all, so you need those the utility bar. So from there, whenever a call comes in, basically that one will come. I mean, you can add a phone widget here, so that one will ring, and basically you see who is calling and all that stuff, and typically for contact centers.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, the work that we did, so adding to the page layout as a button, that should show up as one of those buttons here. So, okay, wait, here it is. So basically guided case create. So the one we added, it came here. So now it follows the same thing. But I was hoping it would come here. So looks like it went here. Maybe those are only for buttons. So if you want, you have to see it a different place, and it follows the same thing. So let's say if I add some random stuff, and the flow would say, okay, I can't. Let's say I add something. So it is still able to create. I mean, the flow. I mean, these are the places where you can stop the user to create the cases also. And since it is a simple flow that they have done, so they don't have a lot of restrictions. So I mean, with the flow on this guy, so it created some dummy with all the dummy information. So potentially this guy shouldn't have any account contact on it, because it is not able. Oh, okay, it created that dummy contact with the details that we gave, and so on the fly it created the contact and it assigned the contact to the case. It did two things basically. Yeah, it all how you define the flow based on that the logic. I mean, otherwise we have to write some lightning component, we have to place fields, and we have to do some Apex programming, all that stuff in order to achieve this guy. So without any custom coding, we are able to achieve all that stuff here with using a flow. I mean, it is very powerful. You can do lot many things. Uh, you can build a lot complex ones also with the flow. But only thing is if the object has lots and lots and going on. So especially with mass record loads, it might become some complicated for maintenance. So as long as you do write documentation and all, it might work. But eventually, if it is simple object and less customization, it's better to go with flows. Okay, so yeah, I think we can stop here. I will send you some trailhead ones, and please go through it. And this is going to be very powerful one for you for day-to-day work. Okay.
Yep. Thank you.
Right. So I'm hoping maybe one more class. We have some more automation things that we can do, like how we can create leads automatically from the internet when someone is trying to access our website. How to create leads? We can take a look at that one. Maybe the same thing we can do for cases also when someone is trying to set something on our website. If they can't find some information, if they want to post some information, I mean, create a case, potentially we can do that. Maybe one of those scenarios we can take, and we will do that automation. Maybe I will, for Kishore, I think I will send you some trailhead modules for approval process. I believe there are some, and see if you can follow. It should be very straightforward.
Okay.
If there is any issue, maybe we can take a look at that.
Sure. Thanks, Srikant.
Right. Okay, so let's meet on Friday then. I mean Thursday. Okay. Thank you. Bye.
Okay. Good night.
Good night.